Hey, this is Oteil. If you're liking what you're hearing, head on over to patreon.com/comesatimepod and get your bus pass for an extra episode every week.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Comes a Time. That is Oteil.
And that is Mike. And we had a very relevant guest on that I think you all will find interesting.
Yeah, we had Brando, the founder of Cash or Trade, on the podcast today, and he's taken an old finger in the air who's got my ticket model from way before these smartphones and turned it into a social digital platform where everybody can purchase tickets for face value and share within the community and help each other try to save money and have great experiences. And it's blossomed. I mean, it's grown far beyond, you know, the beginnings in the Fish and Dead scene and jam band scene. And it's all over the musical spectrum now. Really proud of them.
Yeah, hopefully the big powers that be won't find a way to shut them down or buy them out or something.
I know, right? Yeah.
Because they're doing something really, really good and really in the spirit of what this whole thing is about. And it's good to see it not get lost and swallowed up or have all the blood drained out of it by vampiristic capitalism. Like I say, I'm fine with capitalism. It's just the vampire capitalism. It's just like, wow. You know, when you can start feeling bad while you're at a show because you just went through so much crap and you got screwed so bad. And you just, even if it takes that much off of it, that's a shame.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
so it's nice to see that spirit.
Yeah. And I mean, the throughput for a lot of the conversations we've had recently is how medicinal and how spiritual and important these live music experiences are for so many of us. And like you said, like if you have to have that in the back of your, you know, you paid $300 extra for this jam, you know, it hurts. And I've done it and I, you know, hope to never again. But thanks to Brando and his team, we're able to kind of minimize those experiences. So thanks so much to Brando for joining us from the Queen City of Burlington, Vermont. And thank you everybody for listening. We're on Osiris, home to so many great podcasts. Go to osirispod.com. And if you like what you're hearing, head over to patreon.com/comesatimepod and get a bonus episode each week. So thank you. Thank you, Brando. Stay safe out there and we'll see you soon. Brando, It is great to see you, my friend. How's everything going?
Great to see you as well. Things are going great. Appreciate it.
Where are you in the country?
I am in Vermont, Burlington.
Yeah.
Hence the sweatshirt.
Yes. 51 today so far.
Boy, I caught a beautiful weekend up there weather-wise. God, it was just perfect. Really, really like picturesque and warm and gorgeous. Spent a bunch of time by the lake. Everyone was outside. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was rare to have like 85 degrees that time of year. Sorry we missed you too. Would have been great to hang. We'll have to do it next time.
Sorry I missed you too. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
So are you a native Vermonter?
I am not. I grew up in New Hampshire, but, you know, just over the border and came here for college like 25 years ago. The same weekend that Fish played in Plattsburgh for their first festival.
Oh, how synchronistic, right on the other side of the lake.
It was funny because parents like dropped us off in the dorm room. I like shook hands with my new roommate and like grabbed my bag. And like, as soon as my parents left, like went over the lake to Plattsburgh. And I was like, college is great.
There's a fish festival across the lake every day. That's so funny. Well, we're approaching, tour season, and we thought let's get a finger on the pulse of what's happening in the ticket world. And we wanted to see how things are going and what's happening. And prices are obviously skyrocketing with everything out there. So I'm sure the wide world of scalping is probably, right on course.
It sure is. It's a never-ending battle.
I found that out recently when I was trying to get some tickets for a friend of mine's birthday to a show down here, Earth, Wind and Fire in Santana. And holy crap, I don't, well, it may have evened out, but for most of my musical career, I was poor. But we never had to buy beer and we never had to pay for concert tickets. Like it was like two of our perks. So it's only been like a handful of times in the last 35 years that I actually bought tickets for something. And they were not shows this big, because I typically don't like big crowds, but buying this one, it was like, I wasn't front row or anything. I was like, it was like $1,800. I was like, oh my God, I can't get 4 of these, my mind was blown. I was like, who's buying these?
Yeah.
Who can afford it?
Well, what's the deal, Brando? Why is it like that's not regulated? I mean, in doing what you do you need to kind of like also stay on top of how all the other outlets and the StubHubs and the verified resellers and all that other stuff, like how they're doing it? Is that part of Cash or Trade, is kind of keeping an eye on what else is happening?
Yeah, we're very much in tune with the industry, what's going on. It's wild. It's like Wild West. I mean, there's a lot of changes. It's an ever evolving industry. The technology is changing fast and rapidly. There's a lot of new companies in the space, but of course there's still the control from the big dogs who are manipulating the markets. And there's a lot of behind the scenes. It's a really interesting industry. It's too bad it's not just more clear and sort of cut and dry on how it's presented, because that's what the fans are expecting. They want that, that transparency in the market when they go to purchase something. And, all the tickets are, scooped up by brokers and not just brokers, but like large allotments based on venues, like Amex pre-sales and all of the, credit card and corporate accounts. And, before you know it, a venue is just sliced right up to where there's only so much available that's actually going to go on sale for the original on sale that everybody expects there to be the 20,000 tickets, and there's really not. And then even then, only so many of them are released at that time. And a large majority are obtained by brokers using bot and scalper programs and are shipped off to StubHub and other secondary market scalping companies. And some of them are just held up later to pent up the demand and to come back later and do re-releases. Then there's the whole thing with platinum tickets, where tickets are becoming to adjust for market value as if they were an airline seat. Which, is understandable, but what sort of makes that difficult to swallow is right alongside it in the same platform, such as Ticketmaster or Access Tickets, is that then you will have the resold tickets, where it's people who are supposedly reselling them most of the time above face. And the trust is lost on what ticket is what. And are these resold tickets becoming platinum tickets? And it's just really hard to know.
Jeez.
So, you know, for the average consumer to just come in here and wrap their heads around all of this, and even longtime fans, you know, like we have a lot of conversations, and there's a lot of misunderstanding of the industry itself. And we do our best to try to convey that. But it's just ever evolving. And, you know, in the end of the day, what we're trying to do with Cash or Trade is just allow fans to be able to purchase tickets from other fans without profit. We want to create a space where it's just like, often when you find out you can't go, you're just bummed. And if you like really value that experience, you know, in your heart, you just want to pass that experience on to someone else and get your money back and almost live vicariously through them, knowing that somebody else got to go and have this amazing experience. But I had to go to like my friend's sister's wife's wedding, you know, and you're like, oh,
or
like
COVID.
I'm going to miss, or COVID.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, we're trying to say, hey, let's not have middlemen obtaining all the profit. You know, the artists aren't making that extra markup. And like, why is that? And the platinum tickets actually help solve that in the way that it does create a higher market value. And that money goes to the artists and the venue and the whole chain to make that event occur, versus everything going to StubHub or a secondary site where the brokers walk away with the majority of the money. The artist gets a sliver, the fan is ripped off, the platform gets 25 to 35% in fees on a marked up ticket.
25 to 35%
That's a lot,
fees.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine paying that as a sales tax if you go to the store, just on buy something retail.
Well, and also
it's like 25 to 30% more. Like, what the?
Yeah. And Oteil, remember, this is just to get you in the door.
Oh yeah.
This isn't $60
not
for parking.
It's not beer. It's not food.
That's right.
It's not.
It's
and then
not,
long lines at the bathroom.
And merch.
And then, which I wouldn't even think about. I'd have to be drunk to buy merch in an event like that, because it's like I can order the band merch online and not, you know.
Carry it
Well,
on.
if you can afford the $14 beer, then you might have enough of them to go be drunk enough to buy that merch.
$35 t-shirt. Yeah.
I was able to afford a $14 beer for a while now, since the Allman Brothers. I just never found a beer that was worth $14. It's like not hard for me to not get it.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's a Bud Light. I'm definitely not paying $14 for that. Are you kidding me? Like, even if it was 2 gallons.
Well, you know, I will say, like,
I love that.
Things are expensive, of course. Like, you know, inflation, the way everything is going, coming out of COVID, prices have gone up around the board. But I think still people want to vote with their dollar, and they want to put their money in a good place. And they want to know that if they are spending this money on a $35 t-shirt, that goes to support the band that they love. Right. And that, you know, they will go to that next show feeling like they supported that band, and that's why they're playing tonight. Yeah. It's just the part where it's like the platforms like Ticketmaster and StubHub can get really expensive in fees. And that the brokers in the middle are the ones who are taking that.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the part that really gets me. And also the fact that, like, the way that the skin of the site kind of like presents what you're buying and from who, that's changed recently over the course of, you know, just the past couple of years, where, you know, you don't actually see on Ticketmaster anymore, like, we're sorry, this event is sold out. What it is it's oh, here is right next, like you were saying, right next to a ticket that may be face value that's on the lawn for $49.50 or, $50. There's right next to it is, oh, we have section 11 for $770. But it doesn't say, they've blurred the middle where it's like, this is a scalper selling a ticket on our site. Maybe not a professional scalper, but this is someone who is looking to make a profit. And we're giving them the platform to do it. And there's no skin chain. There's no like other page to click on. This event is sold out. However, if you want to buy tickets over, Face, click here. It's just all one confusing mess.
Yeah. And that's just it, is that it's just like not super transparent. And it creates a lot of frustration in the industry. And I suppose like a dream of mine with Cash or Trade is to make the ticketing buying experience, not only fun, but wholesome. Mm-hmm. So you're able to communicate with another fan who's like really sad they can't go. And you're able to talk back and forth and be like, oh, I'm bringing my dad to this show. Mm-hmm. And the seller's like, dude, that's so awesome. Like, I'm so glad I could participate in that. And then they become friends and they follow up. And mostly like when you want to go to an event, I mean, these are life experiences,
right?
Like, the goosebumps that you get, it's an emotional feeling.
Yeah, totally.
And, that's what you're participating in. And when you get ripped off from the start of it, then you're always like at the show trying to ask yourself if that last song was worth it.
Yeah, when you start doing the math in your head and you're like, well, this jam's costing me like $65. Like this set break is $19.95. It's true. And I think that what happened too with obviously the past couple of years being what it was and tours being postponed indefinitely and refunds being, like the world kind of got really crazy. But I think what we did was we bought up a shitload of tickets with good hopes that we were going to be able to maybe head across country and see a bunch of shows and maybe catch 15, 20 shows when maybe we only get to catch 3 or 4 of those or whatever. And we end up getting stuck with like a shitload of tickets. And it's like, that's a whole other part of it where it's like, what do I do with these? Like, what's the path of least resistance? Number one. Number two, like you said, I want to make sure someone gets this ticket that is going to, thoroughly enjoy it, not just take it and reflip it for 3 times the amount, So I think that was an experience that probably a lot of us had where it was like, we kind of wishfully thought like, yeah, the world's opening back up. We're going to go to do tour, all this, and then you just can't. So you're stuck with a bunch of stuff. And I use your site, that, and I love it because you're right. You do get those connections with people where it's like, you're going to have a great time at this. And the gratitude and it's fun to actually check the site to see like, oh yeah, I got some responses. People do want this ticket.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of the community. Yeah, that's what it's about. There's a lot of frustrations in it for sure.
On your end?
Oh, well, of course, we try to move forward with our most positive foot forward every day. Of course. And, often there's people who are very thankful and it makes it all worth it when we see those people at shows and they express their gratitude. But of course, the lack of transparency, the misunderstanding of the industry, there's a lot of frustration out there amongst fans. We call it ticket anxiety. as well, where people are trying to get a ticket and it's like a super high demand event. And then there's sort of this level of entitlement often about like who deserves to get the ticket and like this frustration around not scoring. And you know what, in the end of the day, if you really want to go, like everybody gets in kind of thing. You've heard that.
I've said it.
If you know, like, but you know, during that process, those 3 months before that event, like people are very agitated around the whole industry. And, you know, that comes back to us quite a bit. Yeah, there's just a lot of frustration because people don't quite understand, you know, why these tickets are the way they are and how difficult it is to obtain them. And we do our best to, you know, provide some inventory out there from fans who aren't looking to become businessmen or women, and they're just having extra that they're, you know, bummed they can't go to. And then along the lines of what you were saying, where, you know, there's starting to be, you know, fans are doing whatever they can to obtain those tickets. Well, with all this friction, right? So they're coming up with ways to do that. And when you go to purchase tickets, there's usually an allotment of like 4 tickets. And, you know, if you're going to buy those tickets, like you just sat in a waiting room for 35 minutes, you know, you're like, you should be working, but you're like in this waiting room and, you know, all your friends and family are trying to go too. And an average fan, like once they finally get there to go purchase, like they're going to buy those 4 tickets.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, I see nothing wrong with that. Like there's a small allotment. They're not going in there buying 30 tickets. You know, they're buying like, you know, a few tickets. It's going to go to their spouse or their family or a friend who's also trying to get those tickets.
Yeah.
But there are those cases where like maybe you buy those and somebody can't go. So someone ends up with like an extra or 2. Either way, it's kept out of the hands of a scalper and goes back into the hands of a fan. And you're still staying within the allotment that the ticket platform is allowing. But then there's lotteries. And the lottery system is built, you know, as if you don't know what you're going to get. So that happens too, where people will go into the lottery and they're like, well, I'm going to do this 4-day, but like, maybe I'll do this 4-day too, because the chances I'm going to get both 4 days are like little to none.
Right.
And then they do it. And then there are those random 1% moments where boom, that person scores.
Yeah.
You know, and then they do get all those tickets. Again, they come back to Cash or Trade, or they're talk with their friends, or they're Venmoing each other, whatever. They're texting with friends. At least it gets redistributed back to fans at face value, and they'll all get to go and attend the event without being ripped off. But there is some friction around that. Fans starting to point fingers at other fans about like, oh, like he's not going to fly out west to go see that show. Like, are you kidding? Like that's what this fan base does. We fly everywhere to go see events at the drop of a hat. Like,
yeah, we do whatever we possibly can, but
yeah. So that frustration's a little like, you know, hard to see because, you know, everyone's just trying to obtain the tickets. They're trying to get them at face. And, you know, we all need to stay positive and realize that, you know, scalpers aren't obtaining those tickets. So
yeah. And I think that we're all pulling for each other to not get ripped off. I really do think that's like the main thing where it's just like, I don't care as long as, you know, just, I hate to hear how much people pay for things because it's like, then you're perpetuating you're kind of keeping it alive, you know, like by going and buying $1,000 ticket off StubHub, that's keeping StubHub going, you know, I mean, and that's you get that fear of missing out, but then you're also like, I just spent, you know, a portion of my mortgage on, you know, on a ticket. And how does that, you know, if you could do it, God bless. But I don't know. And you brought up that ticket anxiety. And I think that phase 2 of ticket anxiety, if you did score, is who do you call? Who do you ask? You know what I mean? And that's a hard thing too, because it's like you have those folks that are always like 100% yes right off the bat. And then a day or two before the shows, it's like, sorry, I can't make it, you know? So one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like, now that, and I don't know if it was because of the pandemic or maybe we were just going this direction anyway, but basically paperless tickets being kind of like, seems to be the trend, and that seems to be what's happening moving forward. Is that what you're seeing on your end?
Yeah. Paperless tickets are great. It's way more efficient for both the fan and the industry to manage them. It's just not like, even still, it's just not fully across the board. You know, they still want to allow the ability for people who don't have a smartphone to obtain those tickets. So there are still paper hard tickets being mailed out. Often with the way mail has been, there's a lot of tickets that aren't showing up.
Oh man,
you know, who mailed them? When did they mail them? Talking to the carrier. Did they get lost mid-transit? They show up like the night of the show or the next morning.
Oh, the next morning. Shit.
I know.
What a fucking, that's just a twist of the thorn right there. Just like, oh, was this what you wanted to do last night? Oh totally. My God, that would break my heart. You're seeing that happen quite often?
I mean, it happens still. I mean, it's less now because there are more electronic tickets.
Yeah.
But, you know, when there are paper tickets involved, that stuff does occur.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then they call the box office and try to get them reissued at the box office. And if you're like mid-trade with somebody, you have to like provide like valid proof of credit card and a license or an ID. And it creates a lot of box office friction for the venue too, because they don't want to be dealing with that. They don't want lines out their box office with like people trying to pick up at will call. And so paperless tickets solves a lot of that. If we can finally get there where, you know, they're not printed home PDFs and they literally are transferable tickets. It cuts out a lot of fraud because it's transferred directly to you and others can't be like using those barcodes. So yeah, it is where it's headed. And thankfully, yes.
See, that's an interesting thing though, about like miracling someone. Like, you know, you used to walk around the parking lot with a ticket right when you were about to step into the gate. Like, let's say whatever, like your friend, you can't find them, or before smartphones, back when beepers were the only thing, or maybe even before that. And you're about to walk into the show and it's like, we got to go in, but where's our buddy? And someone's looking for a ticket and you're able to just go like, here you go, bud. And like, just hand someone a ticket and see him go like, and freak out and run in. Now it's kind of like, how do you miracle how do you, like, you're in the parking lot and what do you just like kind of holding up your phone and you're like, does anybody need a
airdrop? You airdrop your miracle.
Airdrop a miracle.
You pretty much do. I mean, you transfer them a ticket.
You go.
I think, yeah.
digital love. Yeah, really.
I just think about the old heads that like for them, it must be like, this is pure insanity. Like when they had their own like mail network, it's, snail mail. I'm just like, wow.
Well, when we created Cash or Trade, it was part of the reason because, we grew up standing in line at box offices. And
sleeping outside of box offices.
Yeah. And then, skipping school and like running to the, to get in line.
Absolutely.
And then, if there was a scalper or something, like they might just be like in line in front of you and are able to get like, the maximum allotment of like 4 tickets or something. I'm sure they had other ways back then too, but still it was like somewhat limiting. And then, there like Fish went on hiatus and like I was kind of snowboarding in Vermont for a while. And then when everything came back in 2009 and shows started to pick up again, StubHub had been created during that time, and the internet really, Facebook started in 2004. So during that blackout period, like the internet was chugging and growing and business was happening. And all of a sudden we were like, what the hell happened here? Like, this is not like it used to be. And then we were just like, let's create a place for fans to just trade with fans.
Well, it seems like it's the same as the financial industry, where the pace of technological change far outpaces the pace of legislative change. So it's like it's not illegal because there are no laws about it yet, because we're in completely new territory. And that happens like super, super fast.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it will always outpace. I don't know how you get ahead of that.
Yeah, they catch up, or try to catch up.
And then it's like, boop.
Well, Oteil and I were talking the other day I was telling him about like the whole Pearl Jam movement for a minute there, where Pearl Jam's like, we're not playing any venues that needs Ticketmaster, right? Wasn't it just Ticketmaster at that point? Do you remember that? Pearl Jam said we're not
in the 90s.
Yeah. They said, we don't want to be involved with Ticketmaster. You might know better than me, so I don't know. Do you know the background behind that story?
A bit. I know that they wanted to do their own ticketing, and I think it was very difficult because they didn't have the reach. So after years and years of back and forth, there was like a lawsuit there too. I don't know all the details. In the end of the day, though, like today, they use Ticketmaster. But, I think they've tried to come up with ways to reduce the amount that brokers can obtain their tickets.
I think that it was a thing about too, like if you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I may not know, I think that this is the truth, but like if you want to play a venue, that's part of the contract, that tickets are sold through either Ticketmaster or Axis, and you don't have a choice around it. Is that the case? Like as a band, as an artist, I think that's what you have to kind of agree.
The venue is really the client of the, that's interesting. The artist plays a role in there, but, the management, but the venue often is the one who is choosing to use this ticket company.
Yeah. So if you say no to that ticket company, you're saying no to those venues, essentially. You won't be able to play certain rooms and halls and stuff.
It's intertwined like that. It makes it difficult. Yeah.
Wow.
Especially if there's a monopoly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I remember Kid Rock going to war at some point to like keep the ticket price lower.
Take a $20 ticket.
I think I recall him successfully doing it, but then I don't know if he then went to do that the next year and the year after and the year after and the year after.
Yeah, everybody will say they always want things to be cheaper, right? We all want to go back to that day when it was $18 for a ticket, but I think it's more about, that lack of transparency and the middlemen obtaining that profit than it is spending that money and supporting that artist.
Yeah, I don't mind like the price of things going up. Like, yeah, it costs more to see a movie, but it's price gouging. It's like there's no emergency.
Yeah.
Now there's a fee for this and a fee for that and a fee for this. It's like, what, it's just price gouging. And, you can't really, it's more egregious when there's no emergency.
What's up, everybody? This is Mike, and today's show is sponsored by Sunset Lake CBD, a Vermont hemp farm crafting affordable CBD products designed to help with stress and sleep without breaking the bank.
Sunset Lake CBD is a majority employee-owned hemp farm located just outside of one of our favorite places, Burlington, Vermont. For years, Sunset Lake was a dairy farm producing milk for Ben & Jerry's ice cream. We had them on the podcast. In 2019, They diversified and started growing hemp for CBD.
And Sunset Lake CBD crafts products with hemp grown on their family farm and ships them directly to the customer, cutting out all the cost associated with getting on the shelves at stores. They have CBD products for every occasion and offer tinctures, salves, edibles, coffee, smokables, and even for that anxious dog of yours, they have pet products.
Ooh, I need to get some for my dog that's barking all the time. But I'll tell you this, I use these. The Sour Bears.
So good.
They are CBD gummies. I literally, no joke, I take these every night. They help me sleep. And it's almost bedtime.
Yep. And I still, as said it before, I'll say it again. You go to a long show, you come home, my 42-year-old ankles are not what they used to be. And I rub that salve all over them and put them up, enjoy a nice cocktail, and just let it ooze right into those sore bones. And you know what, folks? All you Comes a Time fans, if you check them out at sunsetlakecbd.com and use promo code TIME, T-I-M-E, you'll get 20% off all products. That's sunsetlakecbd.com. Use promo code TIME, 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer-owned, Vermont-grown. Thank you.
Get you some.
Ticketmaster, I think, like what often happens is that they absorb a lot of the fees from venues and such and like lace it into like their fee. And, you know, I think what people don't always understand about Ticketmaster too is that, I mean, sometimes it's just obnoxious. You're like, what is this fee? Like we saw a fee that was like higher than the price of the tickets. Like how it was like 120% or something. Like how is that possible? Yeah.
It's the Are You Paying Attention fee?
Yeah. Like what is this? But at the same time, like, you know, on an average event or whatever, I don't know what was going on with that one. You know, Ticketmaster is, they're not the artist, right? Like they're a service, and they're providing a service to sell the tickets for the artist or for the venue. And, you know, they have a fee to cover their services similar to what we do. Of course, because on Cash or Trade, it's face value that we're the only platform that it's free to sell. So we encourage people who have extra tickets to sell them at face value. And it's the only platform where you won't be charged to sell your ticket, where every other one does. But on the buyer end, we have either it's a 10% fee or you become a gold member. And for $4 a month for a year, you avoid the platform fee altogether. So what we have struggled with is to create a competitive pricing structure that still provides some revenue to run a company. We now have 20 employees at Cash or Trade, so we're feeling great about that as we grow.
Congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks. But, you know, a lot of us are, you know, part of this because of the passion. And we really want to be a part of it. And it's not it doesn't rake in the money the way a StubHub model does, you know? So, you know, there are, you know, our model, we know people have a hard time with fees in general. So we offered the opportunity. We're the only ticket platform that has a membership opportunity that if you are going to use the platform twice, then being a gold member actually saves you in that way. And then it supports the platform, it supports the cause. And there's some like loyalty there to like continue working together in a community.
I'm sure it's less in fees and much less in feeling like you've been had 9 ways to Sunday.
Well, and also you kind of get to know a tiny bit, at least a tiny bit, who you're buying your ticket from or who you're selling your ticket to. Like when you do a transaction on StubHub, it's just like you're kind of just praying that you get the ticket. You know what I mean? Like there's no, you're like,
you never know who or where your ticket's coming from and whether it's going to be valid or not.
Right. Exactly. There's no check or balance. Whereas with Cash or Trade, there's an entire, like, you know, there's a rating system and there's reviewing and you guys do a lot of kind of, I don't like the term policing, making sure that things stay, you know, on the up and up, right?
Policing's not bad. It's just bad policing that's bad.
Yeah, bad. I just don't like policing in general.
We have a process in place where people verify. Yeah, they verify themselves on the account. So they like verify their phone number and their email address and the credit cards on file. They build out a profile of themselves and upload like a photo of them or, you know, start to have like a persona on the platform, you know, and that doesn't exist on any other ticket site.
So
other
it's
ticket
almost
sites,
like a soft social media.
Oh yeah.
Type. You know what I mean? It's not like.
I mean, people say it's become a social network. I think we've had four couples have approached us telling us that they have traded with someone on Cash Trade, ended up dating, and ended up marrying each other.
That's awesome. That's definitely social network.
And one recently, not too long ago, someone sent this to me. They sent me the screenshots, and they were like, "Check this out." They replied to a trade, and the girl was like, "Oh, like I picked you because you have the same name as my first kiss 30 years ago." And he was like, "No way." I forget her name, but it was like Allie.
Wow.
And it was them.
Is that you? And they're like, "Oh my gosh."
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cash or Trade's going to branch off into the wedding invitation space where it's like, I don't want to go to their wedding, but if anybody does, here, trade me another wedding.
we love those stories, because
awesome.
that's what it's supposed to be about, is connecting with friends and people in the space that build that community. As I was saying, Mike, you're obtaining that ticket and your experience right at that moment is so heightened, and you're not bogged down with negativity. And it's an emotional experience that you go through when you go to these events. You get the goosebumps on your arms, on the back of your neck. Like, you don't want to be sitting there being upset about how much you paid for the ticket and all the struggle it took to get there. I just wanted to say that again so Oteil could hear that, because I think that's a big part of it.
It is.
It makes it harder to enjoy it,
It does. And one of the things too that kind of like the mother hen of like a friend group sometimes will do is like, I'll try to get tickets for this one and whatever. And if you don't get it, you kind of almost have this guilt where you're like, shit, I got to get tickets for everybody now, and then you end up freaking out, panicking, paying extra, and you're almost apologetic about it. And it sucks because but with Cash or Trade, you can almost kind of tell that story and put it up on the board or whatever. And someone will go like, I gotcha. Like, don't worry. And it's almost kind of brings back that lot pre-technology vibe where you can go up to someone and go like, does anybody have a ticket for my buddy? Like, he really, wants to get in and lost his ticket, whatever. And that was a thing that would happen in the parking lots before.
And it's on the back end too, because you go through all that and you're like feeling guilty and you're like, I got all that, and then like 3 people don't show up. And you're like, great, now I went through all that trouble and I got 3 extra anybody want a ticket?
Anybody want these?
So it helps you on the back. It's cool on the back end too. You could like put it back in the stream.
It totally happens.
We actually do have a miracle feature as well. And you can go on to Cash or Trade, make a post. And when you get to the pricing area, you can toggle a little box that says, I'm going to miracle this ticket. We also have a charity option where you could say, I'm going to donate the cost of this ticket to this charity as well.
Cool.
That's really
cool. I mean, I think the last statistic was we had like $50,000 tickets that have been given away through Cash or Trade.
That's sweet.
So I'm
we're
going to guess
excited about that.
Both that and people getting married are not happening on Ticketmaster.
I don't want to.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see a Ticketmaster marriage. That's a weird marriage. I want to go to a Cash or Trade wedding, not a StubHub wedding. No way.
That's funny.
Oteil, do you like have you seen what like actual when a show goes live now on Ticketmaster, what it looks like? I mean,
no, but here's what happens. I can tell because my phone goes insane. And now I'm actually getting emails from Ticketmaster because I had to click in to, get these tickets for Earth, Wind, Fire and Santana. But, I still know because my phone goes crazy and my wife's phone goes crazy. And it's like, I see it but I hear this thing and it breaks my heart because I really feel like the artist doesn't have any control or just like very little.
Yeah.
And you think about like what you said before about, there was scalpers, but it was a guy in front of me and maybe, and he had a limit or she had a limit to how much they could buy. And now being online, it's just hitting refresh. And I'm like, that's like feeling around in the dark. It's dark, it's pitch black, and you have a blindfold on. And it's just like, that's not a good feeling at all.
No, you're
not
right.
a good feeling at all.
A couple years before the pandemic, or maybe like a year or two before the pandemic, before Ticketmaster got rid of like their phone lines where you could still like call in and try to get tickets and stuff. The day of an on sale, Oteil, it was kind of like, I mean, it was like getting ready to like, I don't know. It's like getting ready for like the kickoff of the Super Bowl or something. I had like multiple computers set up on different, like, you had your, Safari was up on Ticketmaster with this email address and then another email address. And then you're calling your mom at work going like, hey, would you mind trying to call this number to see? Just because it was like, you're going to like you said, Brando, earlier, you're not going to hit. One of them might hit. But you got to try every possible thing. But now what it is basically you go on and you essentially get into a line. And on the Ticketmaster site, it just has a little guy walking. And it's like, it goes like this, Oteil. It's like, you are number 3 in line. And then the little wheel turns and it goes, you are number 640 in line.
You are number 20,000 and
2,000 plus.
2,000 plus is the thing.
They just give you 2,000 plus. So you're like,
that's it.
There's 2,000 people in front of me. Like,
so you could be 6,000 or 10,000 or
2001.
Or 2001.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, fans do get like upset and, waiting room with ticket anxiety, but you are right. In college, I remember going to the computer lab and I would go to sit down and a kid would be like, I got this row. you have this row?
Yes.
Like he's refresh like on 6 computers.
Four windows on every computer trying to get tickets. And I'm like, what the hell?
And that's one computer lab in one school, in one town, in one state across the country. Everyone's doing it when it's Fish and Dead and all these giant bands. Like, how does that place not like, how does the roof not fly off of ticket? Like, it's just
now
wild.
It's just, it's pretty hard. Like you can't do any of that anymore. The waiting rooms, the IP addresses, they block all that stuff, multiple windows open, like, it'll like close one or won't allow you through the gate. So, I mean, that's good as far as distribution, right? But at the same time, it's like you are still up against bot programs who are kind of finding a backdoor anyway.
Right.
But it is tough too, because you want to go to 2 shows or a Friday and a Saturday night. And if there's not like a 2-day ticket option or something, they might be going on at the same time.
Yeah.
You really have to pick and choose which tickets you're going to try to get, you know? So that's why, like, if you're in line for this one and your friend is in line for the other one, like the chances that you both score are very low.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a battle.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is there ever a point where, because I thought this when I was trying to buy tickets for this last concert, is there ever a point where the ticket price comes down because there actually aren't enough people that can afford $1,800 tickets, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think what happens mostly on summer tours is that, typical life in the summer is that people travel. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of events that happen. So people buy tickets planning to go to events, and then things come up, or they're like, maybe I can't fly to California for that one. That's like a stretch. Like I got to put money into my car or something. And then they wind up with those extras. So what you'll see is just like in summer tour, often there's a lot more, ticketing's a lot more fluid. There's a lot more tickets will like sort of surface and pop up for people not being able to go and that sort of thing. And that I think helps drive down some of the costs because there's a lot of extras popping up on the secondary market. So in a sense, that's good. It's just like right at that on sale or lottery time, the demand is so high, the prices like shoot right up, and it takes a little while for stuff to shake down. And they say like, the highest percentage of tickets goes for sale up within 2 weeks before the event, and even more within a week. Like 70% is like, I mean, in a lot of ways, when you're a week before the event, that's when most of the tickets come available.
But, interesting.
Yeah, but just like what you said, Ote, like you should have waited. That I can't tell you how many times those words have come out of my, like when it comes to like, like you buy tickets, because we're sitting here with our app or whatever, and you're, do I just buy it now? I have them right here. Why don't I just buy them? And then you just do it because it's like, fuck it, I'll just do it now. And then the minute you buy them, inevitably you find cheaper ones. You find ones closer to face value, and then you're like, God damn, I should have waited. And then, it's like real estate. It's like anything,
But
it's like
now that I know that, I can keep that in mind. Like the most tickets are going to go on sale 2 weeks before and then a week before, because the fear that drives it for me, and I would assume for everybody else, is, it's going to sell out. Now they're all gone. I'd be like, oh yeah, Fish sold out in 6 hours. Up, they're all gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're fighting that reptilian brain. The gas station is empty now. Like everybody got all the gas because it's a hurricane.
Yeah, all the milk and eggs that are gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the milk and eggs are gone. And it's like, wow, if you just chilled. Now that I know that, it's like,
well, for a super high demand event, which nobody wants to miss, it sometimes is like that, where it's like, wow, those are hot tickets. Nobody's letting those go. And they hold on to it, like fighting so hard to the last minute, hoping that they can go. And so sometimes there's not that variability. And and that's tough because we, as much as we want everyone to go to the show, we also, when everyone's looking, it's like so hard to be like, sorry, there's just like not a lot of tickets out there. It's,
It's interesting too, because I kind of like peruse a couple of sites like all the time. Like I'm always looking at Zillow to just see what houses I'll never afford. That's a fun thing to do. And I'm always looking at Cash or Trade at just like kind of keeping an eye on what tickets are. I'm interested in what shows on which tour there's more tickets available for. Do you know what I mean? Like to me, that's very interesting, where it's like some weird Sunday night Fish show. You can't find a ticket, but the next night you could find like 50, 60 tickets. Like that's interesting to me. And I've noticed that with a couple of different, like you're saying, like there are various different shows or pockets. And another thing I noticed with Cash or Trade is that, you obviously started in our scene, this music scene, but you've branched out to like, I mean, there's country, there's pop, there's all genres of music are now being, worked on Cash or Trade.
Yeah, everybody's getting screwed.
We're trying to scale for sure. The problem exists, as you said, Oteil, in all genres of music, and we are trying to enter into those different genres and give more diversity on the platform. Like country and there's rock, and we do have some of the big artists too. Like, there will be a Lady Gaga ticket or Justin Timberlake tickets popping up, and we hope to enter into those areas as well. But I think as we grow with Cash or Trade, and actually we do have a new app coming out. We've been working hard on this. We were hoping it would go live this summer. It might be more like the fall. We'll see. But we're working on building people's communities better and having you be able to really connect with your friends and see like what events that your friends are going to and whether there's extras for you to participate in that. So we realize within ticketing there's always a sub community. Yeah. There's like the first people that you'll go to for tickets or that will come to you for tickets. And then there's like the next ring out, of friends. It's like, all right, I got to start looking from here, and we want to do that in Cash or Trade to help bring those circles, like all those circles under the roof of Cash or Trade.
And that's when you get to like your laziest friends and you're like, I'm not getting a ticket for this show. if I'm already at AM, there's no way I'm getting it.
Yeah. And you're just like, man, everyone else tried so hard to get these tickets. You did nothing. Last minute, you're like whining to everybody for that extra.
You're like a shot in the dark, but do you have one? And it's, oh, you do? I'll keep your number. That's great.
Do you feel like as you guys get more and more successful, like the biggies are going to try to come after you, maybe just buy you out or something? Or like, I don't know. Do you ever feel like there's That's a point where there's going to be some heat?
I don't know. It's like the industry is evolving. I mean, in 2009, nobody understood what we were doing. They're just like, well, how do you guys make money? Is always, I mean, even today, that's the question. It's like, well, we have a small fee, but, nobody believed that thing could work or even understand. Sounds too good to be true. Yeah. Today, though, things have changed. The industry has heard from the consumer base, and there's a lot of, things, there's a more awareness around how people feel about the ticketing prices and what's going on. And I think it's because more people have been educated about like some of the shady business and the stuff that's happening. So I think I think there's more starting to be more like, focus towards creating a platform that's better for fans. And it's certainly what we're trying to do. And, it's a battle. I mean, you're trying to like, what we're doing is unlike any other, and it's like a socialist model in a capitalistic society where there's a price cap on things, And then, and then there's the other fan who wants everything for free and, thinks that like,
it was always that guy too. Yeah.
So it's a battle.
Well, so for listeners that maybe haven't experienced it yet, like, can you walk them through like, how to sign up, what it's like, things like that, like how to get going on Cash or Trade?
Yeah, totally. So, you can visit cashortrade.org, click on the login button on the top right, and you can register if you're not already a user. And, it's just like phone number, email address, and password. And you're in, you verify your information, and you can start browsing the site. You can search for an artist, and you can run filters on tour dates. But you can also look at tickets that have sold already, or you can filter out to friends in your area, all sorts of filters to better hone in on like who you want to focus on. And then what's different about Cash or Trade is that it follows a model similar to Airbnb, where you make an offer on posts that you want to purchase, and the seller ultimately gets to choose who they want to sell to. If it was a click and buy website, then there's a lot of malicious behavior, like scalpers trying to buy up face value tickets to resell. And we want to keep that community aspect of it, where the seller gets to choose somebody who, like, maybe they look over their profile and they like who this person is, or they say that they're bringing their dad to the event or something like that. Everyone has reviews. You can read through the reviews and be like, wow, this guy, like, he hooked that person up with those tickets. That was a hard show to get. Like, this guy's cool. I'm going to pick him and give back. And I think that's the sentiment. And then once they accept, the card is charged at that point, and they end up in a messaging app where they can go back and forth to chat with each other the entire way through. And the seller delivers the tickets, and then the buyer says, I received them, and they leave each other reviews in the end.
That's great, man.
And they can friend each other again in the future. And then that way they can see future posts that they make.
It's really neat. And the review and the messaging portion is really enjoyable, because it does keep you kind of accountable. And it's nice when someone recognizes if you did go above and beyond to try to, like, I had a circumstance where I had tickets that, like, I have multiple Ticketmaster accounts, and I was trying to locate where the tickets were, and somehow they got lost. So it took me a couple hours to kind of just get it all figured out. And then I got the tickets, and instead of actually, like, sending them to this person, I met them at the box office and kind of did the thing, because I was near the venue or whatever. And they were extremely appreciative and left a great review. And I was like, that's cool. I mean, it's nice I just obviously wanted to get them the tickets, but it was, I love what you're doing, man. And we wanted to have you on to make sure everybody that listens knows what you're doing. And, with tour coming up, it's we
works.
all need to save money.
I see it with my wife. She is on at least one mom's group just here locally where we live. And for everything, like literally everything we can think of. Roller skating. Is there a roller skating or, electrician or whatever? And she's big on reviews, big on recommendations. She talks to the people individually. Yeah, I use them, and three other people wave. I use that same person. They're great. I mean, that's the way to do it. Like, you feel so much better about everything. Yeah. Because I don't mind capitalism, man, but this, like, the vampire capitalism is just like, it leaves you feeling so bad. That you just want to leave the country. In my case, anyway.
Or the planet.
Yeah, it's just about, having things, some regulation in place that keeps a good experience. I mean, that's what people want. And I think what you just mentioned there, Oteil, is true. And it's great that commerce has become communalized, right? Like, you do communicate with people that and trust, and you get their referrals. And, that's how it is a little bit more today, review based, instead of just like shot in the dark,
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's valuable.
It's super valuable. And thank you for, getting in there early before enough people hadn't been screwed over so egregiously yet to be educated to understand what you were doing. But now they know.
Now you're killing it, man.
Yeah. Ticket by ticket.
That's it. One ticket at a time. That's the bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Oh, bless you, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Brando.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate being on.
Of course.
Yeah, sorry I had to dip in and out, Brando, into the fans. I had a mattress being delivered. My wife's taking her parents to the airport.
Gotta get good sleep, man.
Sometimes
we need you rested so we can buy tickets to see you.
Yes. Yeah, it's really great to meet you, Oteil. Excellent
Likewise.
Job out there, man. We love the music and we love going to your shows. So thank you.
Thank you, man. And bless you for doing what you're doing.
Everybody get your tickets at Cash or Trade. See you next time.
Awesome, you guys. Thanks so much.
Later. Of course, Brando. Thanks.